Tonight on DC News Now, we're tracking the last of some steadier rainfall and possible localized flooding as we head into the night. We'll let you know when things will totally clear out as we head into your Wednesday.
Tracking storm damage across the DMV, the slick roads, downed trees, and homes hit by lightning.
Shattered glass litters a bus shelter in D.C.
Out of the blue, you hear rounds after rounds after rounds.
The triple shooting that killed a man also hurt a woman and child.
The FBI headquarters moving but staying in D.C. The pushback from Maryland lawmakers as they promise to fight the decision.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
A look at the radar on the left side of your screen here as steady rain continues to fall tonight, and a live look on the right towards the Air Force Memorial in Northern Virginia. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 10. I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Susan Tran. We have team coverage for you tonight on this really stormy night. Our Daniel Hamburg is joining us in the DC News Now weather car in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, but first, let's get straight to meteorologist Damon Massam with the latest on these storms and a little bit of good news, I suppose, tonight, Damon.
Yeah, Susan and Chris, we're on the tail end of it here. That is the good news, as we only have another hour or two tops, and then all of this activity is going to clear the entire DMV. Now, some of us have already been quiet and fairly dry. There's nothing much happening on the radar along and west of the I-95 corridor, but from D.C. eastward, yeah, we're still dealing with the remnants of all of this activity. The strongest storms that ripped through southern Maryland last around 7 to 8 o'clock, those are gone. The severe threat is definitely over, but we are still paying attention for the possibility of some localized flooding because steady rain is still coming down over portions of Charles, Calvert, St. Mary's counties, where already we've picked up 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rainfall. Similar numbers have already piled up today across the DC metro that led to some flooding across parts of Fairfax County, but out toward the Shenandoah Valley, where thankfully it's drying out, that's where the highest totals have been. So we'll continue to watch this rainfall for the next hour or two. Heading into the morning tomorrow, there will still be some showers around, especially along and east of I-95 once again, but the rain on Wednesday should be light enough. It won't cause us any major worries, and this is a sign of things to come. It's going to start improving as we head towards your 4th of July holiday. We'll talk about those improved conditions coming up in your full forecast here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, there were more than 1,000 lightning strikes at one point during the storms tonight. One bolt of lightning hitting a home in Maryland.
Yeah, DC News Now's Tim Reed talked to the family about what they heard and saw.
This home behind me was struck by lightning. The good news is the family living here was able to escape uninjured. Now, fire officials telling us this happened around 7 p.m. tonight at the home located on Tweed Street. After the lightning hit the house, it caught on fire, causing damage. The homeowners tell us they heard a loud boom, smelled smoke, and immediately got out the house. The family says they are thankful they were not hurt.
When we arrived on the scene, it looked like some fire coming from the roof, from the eaves soffit of the house. The lightning appeared to have struck some electrical cables, and fortunately it didn't get too much into the house.
You saw it hit like right in the middle of a house and was like, you know, just sitting in bed, and it was like just a huge, it sounded like a bomb went off.
The family tells us they're planning to stay with a good friend until they can get the damage to their house repaired. In Montgomery County, Tim Reed, DC News Now.
All right, meanwhile, the severe weather also bringing down trees and created a lot of flooding concerns as well.
Yeah, DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joining us live in our weather car. This is along 395 South in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, Daniel, they didn't even tell us what the conditions are like there.
Yeah, things are pretty calm right now. You know, it really stopped raining. The road is just wet itself. You can see right in front of us. Actually, we're heading north on 395. You can see we're passing the exit for Pentagon City right here. Just wet roads is what we're looking at. Now, we did see all kinds of things earlier today. If we take some video that we shot going from River Road to just before the split of 495 and the Cabin John Parkway, you can see that tree down in the shoulder there. Luckily not really in the lanes blocking traffic, but certainly saw some down trees here and there all across our area. Further down south in Virginia, the Accotink Creek kind of crested its bounds and flooded some of the roadways. So there was some localized flooding that people had to deal with and avoid and find different routes to get around. But overall, this storm wasn't as bad as we've seen in recent weeks in terms of just the overall damage. But again, just some localized areas that had those trees down, that had that flooding. And right now, the roads are just wet, and that is what people are dealing with. So it's not too bad out there for people out on the road. We're live in Northern Virginia. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
All right, Daniel, thank you. Let's take a live look at Reagan Airport right now. At one point, the flight stops, they were going until 10:30 right now, but the ground stops there at DCA, Dulles, and BWI, they have all been lifted. For several hours, as we have continued to tell you, no flights were able to land or take off due to the thunderstorms. And even now, with the advisory that is done, you should expect some really lengthy delays at all three of those airports. Now let's take a look at FAA's airspace map, and you can see all of the major airports along the eastern seaboard. Also at a standstill with those ground stops, the ripple effects for so many delays. This is a really difficult start to the busy holiday travel season. And you can see how quickly those storms can change. We're going to stay on top of the details for you. And you can do that by downloading our free DC News Now weather app. You can get updates for where you live sent right to your phone. You can also scan the QR code that you see right here on your screen. That's going to take you to our DC News Now weather page for the latest conditions.
And developing now at 10, the FBI is staying in downtown D.C. The agency says it will move 3 blocks west on Pennsylvania Avenue to the Ronald Reagan building. The exact timing of the move still unclear, but the announcement scraps a plan approved back in 2023 to move its headquarters to Greenbelt, Maryland. Maryland lawmakers, including Senators Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks, plus Governor Wes Moore, putting out this statement. Not only was this decision final, the Congress appropriated funds specifically for the purpose of the new consolidated campus to be built in Maryland. That's why we will be fighting back against this proposal with every tool we have. Meanwhile, the Washington Business Journal reporting the CIA is buying a new office in Dulles. Journal says the agency bought the Dulles Discover 2 office building. That's on Air and Space Museum Parkway. FFXNow.com reports the CIA is declining to comment.
Staying in Northern Virginia, new tonight, an Arlington school worker found not guilty of trying to have sex with a student. The jury coming back with a verdict following a 2-day trial. Police first arrested Daryl Ramsey back in November. The teaching assistant over at Wakefield High School was accused of trying to have sex with a teen girl. We reached out to Arlington County school officials about the status of his employment, and we have not heard back yet.
In the district, juvenile curfew will now be 8 p.m. in some parts of the city. D.C. Council passing emergency legislation. It's in response to repeated issues with large teen takeovers in areas like Navy Yard and the Wharf. There's always been a curfew in place, but what's new are special enhanced curfew zones. They target specific areas with a much earlier curfew. That means groups of 8 or more kids cannot gather after 8 at night for up to 4 days at a time. Now, police must give kids 2 verbal warnings before taking action. Now, citywide, a daily curfew of 11 p.m. will be in effect for anyone under 18 during July and August.
Right now, MPD is finding a hard time to corral large groups of youth, and so we're hoping that this tool will not make it easier to arrest or incarcerate young people, but provide MPD a tool to disperse them when they gather.
This emergency legislation goes into effect immediately and for the next 90 days. At this point, no extended curfew zones have been designated. Our Mariel Carbona, much more at 10:30.
Now to a win for religious organizations in Virginia who can continue the controversial use of conversion therapy. It is a practice of attempting to change a person's sexual orientation. The Attorney General siding with 2 counselors on free speech and religious freedom rights. And he says it allows counselors to use such talk therapy with willing LGBTQ children. This despite a ban on conversion therapy for kids in the Commonwealth since 2020.
Clients who are seeking to have those critical conversations about their identity and to hear faith-based insights from trusted professionals.
And there are numerous examples of conversion therapy leading to people killing themselves as opposed to curing them.
The American Psychological Association considers efforts to change a person's gender identity to be harmful and should not be part of behavioral health treatments. Now to a live look on Capitol Hill tonight. The president's big budget bill is now back with the House for their revisions. The Senate narrowly passing their version, with Vice President Vance breaking that 50-50 tie for the Republicans. The Senate's bill includes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It rolls back on billions to fund green energy tax credits, imposes $1.2 trillion in spending cuts, and these are largely made on programs that help children, people with disabilities, and poor families who rely on Medicaid and food assistance. Our national correspondent, Vinay Simlot, has more on what's next for the legislation. That's coming up in our next half hour.
Happening Saturday, Metro begins construction on the Blue Line. And because of that, the Franconia, Springfield, and Van Dorn Street stations will be closed from Saturday until July 26th. There will be free parking at those stations, and shuttle buses will be also running. Metro says to expect construction along the southern end of the Green Line in August as well.
Now let's look at all the changes since the Blue Line first opened on this date in 1977. Metro pulling up some of these old photos to mark the occasion. It's like a big birthday celebration and looking back. It originally ran from Reagan National Airport to Stadium Armory with 18 stations. These days, there are 28 stations taking you from Franconia, Springfield, all the way down to downtown Largo.